All right, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, and the time is 5:03. We do the roll call, please.
Gregory Snyder.
Here.
Mitch Katz.
Here.
Deidre Strong. Absent. Christina Godbout. Absent. Jim Chard.
Here.
Judy Malika.
Here.
Price Patton.
Here.
All right, so today we have the election of officers for the chair, the vice chair, and the second vice chair. If we could please just go in order of that ABC on the agenda for each position. Feel free to discuss amongst yourself. You are always free to nominate yourself or even make the motion to make yourself the position. Yeah, it's open to board discussion.
What do you mean alphabetically? What are you talking about?
Oh, no, I just mean like, don't nominate someone for second vice chair before we've done chair. I just want to keep it in order
I
of how
understand.
it says
Okay,
on the.
got it.
Do you want to carry on? Just curious if you have it.
I don't mind. No, I'm happy.
I'll nominate Greg Snyder as chair.
I would second that.
And can we get a roll call vote, please, Diane?
Greg Snyder.
Yes.
Mitch Katz.
Yes.
Deidre Strong is absent. Christina Godbout absent. Jim Chard.
Yes.
Judy Malika.
Yes.
Price Patton.
Yes. Okay. Now is it my meeting?
Yeah. Yes.
And can I
So-
nominate people?
Okay, so now you can't as the chair.
Okay.
Oh, come
So
on.
someone else nominate someone else as
I'll
vice chair.
nominate Price Patton.
I'll second that. Yes.
Okay.
And we'll do a roll call vote.
Vice Chair, yeah, call the roll, please.
Gregory Snyder.
Yes.
Mitch Katz.
Yes.
Deidre Strong absent. Christina Godbout absent. Jim Chard.
Yes.
Judy Malika.
Yes.
Price Patton.
Yes.
I'll nominate Jim Chard for second vice chair. Do that quick.
I'll second that.
Gregory Snyder.
Yes.
Mitch Katz.
Yes.
Deidre Strong absent. Christina Godbout absent. Jim Chard.
Yes.
Judy Malika.
Yes.
Price Patton.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, do we have all the old guys in charge now?
Yeah.
We do. We have all the old guys in charge.
Does he have to move anywhere?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna move. I can get rid of
I
this.
think
You
you're
wanted to
okay.
move, I know,
All
right?
right.
And nobody's, because it's just gonna be three.
As a general rule, we
years.
help you keep an eye on
Yep.
people's 3 minutes. I don't think we're gonna have a big problem tonight.
I just put a special request in that I get this seat, because this is my
Say
old
again?
seat. So the only request I had, I asked the clerk if I can keep this seat, because this is my old seat, so it's a little,
There you go.
I wanted that seat. No, I'm kidding.
I just want a seat where I don't have to.
I know, just that piece of wood in there.
Oh, yeah.
Structure.
There you go.
This is C3 seat.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a relic. It's historic.
Well, you've been on 1,900 boards. There's probably 40 of them back there somewhere.
Good thing you don't ever throw any of them away.
Is it made out of stone?
Yeah.
I still don't have
In the
one.
last 20 years, when have you not been on a board is the question.
Chiseled stone.
What about Danny?
I need to get one. I'll
Oh, you
write
don't
an
have
email
one?
right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
We need to have a talk with your boss.
Exactly.
No.
Won't complain. All right. Having done that, are there any changes, amendments, deletions to the agenda? Not hearing anything, can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by, sounded like Mr. Chard, second by Mr. Katz, too.
All in favor?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There are no nays. Okay, there are no minutes. At this point, we need to swear in anybody who's going to speak tonight. If you would, stand, and Ms. Miller will swear you
Please
in.
raise your right hand by the authority vested in me, the notary of the state of Florida. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. At this point, we'd like to have any comments from the public on any items that are not on the agenda. Seeing no one coming forward, public comments closed. We have no presentations. We now have quasi-judicial items, and I need the rules.
Diane, if you can
Here you go.
I have them right here,
Right here.
Here you go.
We got 'em.
unless Diane's got
You
them.
got 'em? Oh, somebody keeps them around. All right.
Here's the other part in case you need it. Look.
Yeah, all right, that's good, thanks. Yeah, okay. This hearing shall be conducted in accordance with quasi-judicial rules. The applicant and the city shall be allowed 15 minutes each to present their case. The public shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes maximum, or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or group of people who are present but agree not to speak. City staff and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal testimony. The decision to approve or deny an application or appeal may not legally be made upon personal views as to whether a project is a good project or not, nor may a decision be based on the number of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether the project meets the requirements of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. Okay.
It's down here.
Would you please read the project into the record?
Good evening, board members. My name is Rafiq Ibrahim. I'm the principal of current planning. I would like to enter file number 2024-228, consideration of a level 3 site plan application for the construction of 4-story multifamily residential building consisting of 10 residential condominium units at 202 Northeast 6th Avenue, known as The Link, including architectural elevation and landscape, and the applicant is here to present.
All right, thank you. Before we start, is there any ex parte communication? Ms. Malika?
I spoke with the applicant.
Okay.
Drive by.
Oh, and I drove by also.
I drove around the parking and looked at the trees.
None since our last meeting.
Yeah, none for me since the last time this was here. All right. Ms. Belengi,
Hi.
please, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Good evening. For the record, Christina Belenki. My address is 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton. It's a pleasure to be here to present the link to you today. As many of you have mentioned, you've driven by the site, so you're probably fairly familiar at this point, but it is highlighted kind of in the red box on the screen. It's located on the northwest corner of Northeast 6th Avenue and Northeast 2nd Street. It's a small parcel. It's only 0.36 acres. It is within the commercial core and within the CBD. And it is currently developed with a cigar bar called the Smoke Inn. It's been that cigar bar for a number of years at this point. Initially, I believe it was a single family home when it was first constructed, but it was converted to commercial use quite some time ago. And these are the existing conditions that are there today. Just to put things into perspective as to what is surrounding the property, you do have various townhomes that have been developed within the area along the northbound Federal Highway pair. You also have some newer construction buildings, some commercial office space along Northeast 6th Avenue. So there's kind of more 4-story type products that have been developed and are continuing to be developed along that corridor. And here's a graphic of the proposed project. So it would be 10 condominium units. It would be a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units with a rooftop pool deck and amenity area, a little lounge space, space for some entertaining, that kind of thing. What you will notice is the primary streets are activated. So 6th Avenue, 2nd Street, you do have what looks like active spaces. You have your lobby area. Obviously, the corner of the intersection is highlighted. That's a very prominent intersection. So we're trying to pay tribute to that. And you don't have kind of any breaks for vehicular access along the primary streets. As the code requires, we are accessing the parking and the vehicular use areas through the alley, which again is a code requirement. So here you have the ground floor plan. The proposed site plan does meet the code requirements and the comprehensive plan requirements in terms of maximum FAR. That's 3.0, we're at 2.92 FAR. We're under the 30 dwelling unit per acre permitted density. We do have structured parking within on the ground floor and the mezzanine levels that provide sufficient parking to meet code requirements. We have 23 parking spaces for, again, 10 condominium units, so that accounts for the units and guest spaces. The service functions are consolidated within the alley, which is the intent of those alleyways within the downtown areas. And as I mentioned, we have kind of that uninterrupted pedestrian activity along the primary streets. So as you can see, we have kind of open windows and the ability to kind of look inside into those lobby spaces, and we don't have any breaks that would interrupt those pedestrian sidewalks. We are also providing lobby and stoop frontages with recessed entries to meet the frontage type standards. In terms of the streetscapes, we are required to provide a 15-foot streetscape that's comprised of a 4-foot curb zone where you have your plantings, your light posts, utilities, that kind of thing. A 6-foot wide pedestrian clear zone for your sidewalk and 5 feet of remaining setback. We're actually exceeding those requirements on both street frontages. On Northeast 2nd Street, instead of 15 feet, we're providing 16 feet 10 inches, and we actually have 24 feet 9 inches on the Federal Highway Northeast 6th Avenue frontage. And then again, the staff report goes into detail, but we are meeting all of the requirements of the CBD, of the form-based code, in terms of the development requirements, the required bicycle parking, all of those standards, the setbacks, the greater setbacks as you go up in floors. All of that is being addressed and met through this project. We do have landscape plans that comply with the code requirements as well and provides a really attractive streetscape, particularly along that Northeast 6th Avenue frontage. We are providing new street trees, nice variety of trees, shrubs, accent plants to really highlight the building and improve the appearance of the property. And then in terms of elevations, we did have the masonry modern style approved by the City Commission, the use of the style, and I'm gonna have our architect come up and speak to some of the particular details about the style itself.
Good evening, board members and staff. I'm Peggy Fitzgerald from Net Architects. Christina pretty much went through the first part of my blurb describing the building, so I'm just going to talk about the style a little bit. As she mentioned, this board did approve the use of the masonry modern style in May, as did the City Commission approve the use as well in June. So the design, it highlights the solidity of the building as a prominent mass with carved out terraces and recesses for fenestration. The terraces are employed to create shaded outdoor living spaces for the residents and opportunities for them to also connect more with the neighborhood by being outside. These terraces and balconies are utilized on all 3 street-facing facades. Let's see if the next one shows. As you can see, this is 2nd Street and the alley, which also has those terraces and balconies. Whoops. Sorry. I'm a newbie. And as was mentioned, the corner The intersection is really accentuated by an expansive projecting overhang to really accent the entrance of the building, and also to sort of anchor the corner and the intersection in the CBD. So the color palette and the open terraces sort of pay homage to Delray Beach's urban fabric. The integration will ensure visual compatibility with buildings in the vicinity, as was covered earlier. The style has been carefully designed to complement and enhance those existing buildings, considering their scale and the proportion and the materials also. We believe that the good proportions and elegant detailing and this sensitivity will produce a beautiful composition and elevate the architectural expression in the area. That's all I have.
And just in conclusion, the staff report details how positive findings can be made, again, in terms of compliance with the comprehensive plan, which I touched upon, concurrency with respect to traffic, water, sewer, all of that has been met. And with that, we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have this evening, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, good evening again, board members. Rafiq Ibrahim and file number 2024-228, the link. I'll try not to repeat what the applicant presented for the sake of your time. So it's a level 3 site plan application with a relief within the purview of the Planning and Zoning Board. Go through the details, like it's on the corner of Northeast 2nd Ave and 6th Ave and Northeast 2nd Street. Current use is commercial, the cigar bar, and land use designation is commercial core. Zoning district is a CBD and central core sub-district. It's an aerial view. Again, like the applicant mentioned, this is an old structure, like constructed first as a single-family dwelling in 1936, very old, as a single-family dwelling, and then overseen some changes, and more recently, like as a cigar bar. Last June 2025, City Commission approved the resolution 107-25 authorizing the masonry modern. The masonry modern style is requiring the approval, the recommendation of approval from the PZB board to the City Commission to authorize the style. However, the design itself is within the authority of is in front of the board today. So the style is approved, but the design you can make comments directly towards it. Location, across the street, I just want to highlight that across the street from Northeast 6th Ave, there is a new townhouses, also designed by the same architect, known as the Edge of Pineapple Groves. The applicant showed the context, so I'll skip through that. The proposal is 4-story, 46,000 square feet, multifamily, 10 dwelling units. The first story and the mezzanine stories are dedicated for parking. Second, third, and fourth are 10 dwelling units, 2 and 3 bedrooms, a rooftop with a pool deck. It complies to the code requirements. So chapter 2.4.10 sets the review criteria. So all level 3 site plan application need to meet the chapter 3 performance standard findings, need to meet the landscape findings in 4.6.16 and the architectural elevations requirement of 4.6.18. And we'll go through it quickly so you can also see how the project complies. So overall site plan, it complies in terms of height, streetscape, frontages type, and there is no civic space required for this type of size of the development. View of the different floors and the pool deck. In terms of land use map amendment, the project is consistent with the land use map and FAR is below the threshold. It meets the concurrency. The school SCAD approval is required prior to site plan certification. These are like different policies related to the comprehensive plan that staff identified, and the project is meeting it. It complies with all LDR requirement except for when it comes to the loading bays. So the 4610 requires 2 loading bays, and the project do not provide any, and the applicant submitted a request for the board. It's within the board preview, the board decision, to actually waive the requirement if the justification is accepted from the applicant. So what I want to say here is the applicant mentioned that the loading will happen in the alley behind, which shown on the screen. So 2 are required, provided is 0. In terms of architecture, it's the style is masonry modern, but also the implementation of the style is in front of the board. Is basically like masonry, like with a light color palette. It represents simplicity. Same style, same design almost was presented to the PZB. No major changes, and also the City Commission, except for the canopy over the entrance with the little like marble texture style. This is new. And the location and landscape plan, it complies to the landscape plan. Landscape architect, the landscape planner reviewed it and deemed it compliant. And in conclusion, the whole proposal exhibits defining feature of the masonry modern, simplicity of form, rational massing. Given the building location is high visible, it's like an anchor on this corner, like it serves as a landmark as well. Style is, again, is masonry modern, and it's enhancing the cohesion and of the context. It was presented to the DDA July 14 and then recommended approval. Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval to the masonry modern style in May 19, and the City Commission approved it in June 17. And here are the board actions in front of you, and I'm here for any question. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Seeing none, public comments closed. Is there any cross-examination or rebuttal from the applicant or from the staff?
Not at this time.
No?
None.
Okay. All right. Board comments. Let's
Just
start
a
with Mr.
question.
Katz.
I'm curious why you changed from that brown facade to this marble front with the. I'm just curious that
I'll have
change.
the architect come up.
I know that there were some comments from former board member about the cake separation, but I don't see that. I just see a color change.
Yeah, so actually, there is a little bit of, there was some other minor changes, if this works, right in this area that we refined a little bit, because I know there was comments about that division
Right.
from the first to the upper levels, so that was incorporated. And I believe the change to sort of the darker palette for the entry was to just make it more visible and really accentuate it on the corner and the intersection.
Can I just quickly, is that like a sculpted railing kind of thing, or is that a solid piece of?
Above the entrance.
The
you're
black,
talking about.
the black stuff on the supports for the entrance and that, because it looks like it's
almost
Are
like
you
marble.
talking about?
looks like a railing.
Looks like a railing.
It looks like a railing there,
Sorry.
the black thing.
Above.
Oh,
Yeah.
down
above the
here?
entrance.
So that's actually an ADA ramp.
No.
Oh.
Above the
Above
entrance.
it. So those are pretty much glass railings with a metal on top of them.
And they're solid, they're not,
It's solid
they're not
glass.
ornamental. I mean, it's not like a carved wrought iron railing.
No,
That's
no,
what it
it's
looks
it's
like.
like a solid glass panel or polycarbonate panel with a metal rail, God bless you, above.
Sorry,
Above it.
I just,
No, it's fine. I was
it
just,
looks like a railing to me, so.
it, I know that you had some direction on that. I was curious if that's what you were trying to do. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the color, but I'm not gonna live there, so I'm not.
Oh, it looks, yeah, price.
Otherwise, I'm fine with it. The only comment I'll make, and that's just in general, is to remind the city, every time we get rid of a commercial property, add residential, instead, we are increasing our taxes to our residents, because as we eliminate our commercial property base, we eliminate our most thriving tax base, and then we have to raise taxes like they had to do last night, so. we
Well, that's
need to-
not a comment on the application or anything.
No, just in
Right.
general,
Just
to
for
the,
the record.
just in general, staff like to try to discourage this type of change.
Is that it?
That's it.
So Shard. There you go.
I'd like to address the building as well, but I want to start with the landscape plan. And it concerns me in a number of ways. The first is removal of existing canopy. The second is the diameter of the plants being used to replace the oaks and mahogany that are there now. And the third is that the justification for removal. I don't know if the city should address this or the applicant. I'd like to know why we're going from trees that are 12 and 14 and 16 inches diameter breast height to 2-inch calipers. I'd like to know why this design basically shows no trees at all. And if you drive by, if you drive up 6th Avenue, you see more and more trees being destroyed.
So the rendering does not particularly represent the landscaping that will be there. If we showed the trees, you wouldn't see the building, okay? So in the landscape plan, yeah, if you could go to L 1.1, well, no, 2.0. Oh, it's, we have it? Okay, so a majority on the, in the curb zone where'd it go? Okay, I keep doing that. In the curb zone along here, along Northeast 6th, a majority of those trees are the existing trees. The reason we left that whole landscape island, we've left as it is existing. There will be some trees added in to infill where there used to be a curb cut and driveway. So along Federal, that whole row of trees will remain. And then we will have newer trees to infill the areas that didn't have trees before.
Does the blue marker on the trees today mean that they are going to be removed? Because some of those have blue markers on them. Just
I
like-
don't believe that's related to our project. This is FDOT property, so that's,
Well,
And
do you know about the trees?
Yeah, I have to be sworn in, or was
No, you
sworn in
weren't.
already.
Can you say your
but-
name though?
You weren't.
I stood up. Nick Netta, President, CEO of Netta Architects. The existing streetscape, the trees along Northeast 6 is governed by Florida Department of Transportation. The city has very little input on what you do with the streetscape there. We left the existing trees in place specifically for that reason, not to bring any FDOT communication. The blue markers on the trees wasn't done by us. It had to be done by FDOT doing some type of coordination out there, or maybe arborists coming out and marking the caliber of the trees. But we tried to leave as many of the existing trees along Northeast 6 to minimize the input from FDOT on the project. The one approval we did need was to close the driveway on Northeast 6 to meet their new regulations.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I am not an arborist, but my husband is one, and I think he may have done this project.
He plays one on TV.
My daughter plays with all of those little blue tags that are on the trees. Those are just a number of the trees, so they correspond to the tree survey and then the tree mitigation tables. Some of them may have fallen off over time, some may still be there, but that's all those blue markers are. So if we look at kind of the tree mitigation tables and the tree disposition that is included in the application package, most of the trees that are being removed are in poor condition. They show yellowing, they show deteriorating health, essentially, particularly along Northeast 2nd Avenue where you have those overhead wires. Those trees have been kind of hat-racked by the utility companies along the way, so they're just not great canopies to begin with. Yes, when we put trees in, they are at a smaller DBH than what is out there existing currently, but they are intended to grow, and in Florida they do grow fairly quickly.
But my point is the trees that you're putting in there, like silver buttonwoods, are never going to have that size or that biomass.
It depends where they are, yes. If they're located closer to the building in kind of those foundation plantings, they're not intended to grow and have that large canopy because you have the buildings there, and that's what happens in urban environments. Where they're placed along the curb zone, along the street, they have a little bit more room to grow. They're intended to cover the sidewalks and provide more shade.
So how much canopy is there now, and how much is there going to be when the project is completed?
So the tree disposition table, I do believe, notes kind of the, well, I guess it's based on height, DBH. And there's 250 feet of trunk height being removed. It's 11 trees being removed. We are replacing with 12 trees. There is a mitigation payment because we don't have quite as much canopy coverage at installation as what's being removed, but that is all done in accordance with the city's land development regulations.
Also, in this the same area, particularly for the understory, there are very few natives. And I think as a city, we try to encourage native plants, particularly shrubs and ground covers and so forth, and that doesn't appear to be reflected in your plan.
I do think there is a native requirement in the code. It's 50% native trees required. We are providing 56% native trees.
Is that only the trees, or does that include the shrubs?
There is also a requirement for native shrubs. The code requires 25%, and we are providing 55% native shrubs.
Okay. When you talk about off-site, where's off-site? When the trees are being removed off-site, where are they going?
I don't know that they're being removed off-site. I think there are some trees that were identified off-site, either across on the property line. If you look along the top of that graphic, there are some trees identified on the adjacent property. That's just to pick up where that canopy is, and what is kind of overlapping the property line.
So none of the trees are going to be saved and moved somewhere else? That isn't what offsite means in this case?
No, that is not. And the trees that are being removed are in poor health, and it would not be good candidates for relocation.
Just one more question, I'll get off my hobby horse here. I noticed that a lot of the trees were slated for removal because they had a nutrient deficiency. Isn't that something that can be solved with nutrients?
So again, not an arborist, no, just enough to be dangerous. If it's caught early enough, it can be, but once the health of a tree has been declining for several years, it's not something that can be easily fixed. It needs to be caught fairly early and quickly.
Those trees have stood a long time and fought a lot of hurricanes.
They have.
Yeah. But they have been mistreated. There's just no question about
Yes,
that.
they have been neglected.
Yeah. On the building itself, and maybe this is a question for Rekha, is signage included in this plan?
No.
So that comes separate later,
Yes.
right? Okay. And particularly along the 6th Avenue side, is that all residential on the ground floor, or is there some mixed use?
It is all part of the lobby. It's not a residential unit on the ground floor. It's lobby
So it's
area.
common space for
Common space,
having
yes.
coffee or
Yes.
playing pool or something. And Rafiq, you mentioned that it met all the parking requirements.
The parking, yes.
How many spaces are there?
I think 27, let me just
I
read.
believe 23.
23?
And, yeah.
Does that include the on-street?
I don't think there is any on street.
Oh, they're taking it out, okay.
Let me just pull the
Yeah, I might add, that confuses me, because the requirement that I see in the staff report is for 50 spaces, and you're providing 23, and I don't
I
understand how
think
that
that
works.
must be a typo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let staff address that, but I saw that as well, and
It's 2.5 parking places per unit. Is that our
I believe
regulation
it's
now?
2 spaces per unit, and then there's a guest space requirement that amounts to 3 spaces.
Yeah,
3 per
23.
unit.
Sorry, yeah. This is a typo, I
So
would
it's
like to
3.
correct it, yes.
Sorry.
Is that 3 per unit? No?
It's,
It's 2 per unit, 3 guest spaces.
Oh, and 3. So that's where you get the 23.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
this is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what about the turning radius in the garage? Is that something to worry about with everybody owning pickup trucks and so forth?
it's all been reviewed by city engineering staff and has confirmed to be acceptable
Okay.
per their standards.
Okay, okay. And there is a alley dedication?
I believe it's a 2-foot alley dedication.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pat,
Thank you. I want to talk about the building. To me, I went to the company website, looked at some of the projects they've done, and there's some very impressive projects. This one, I think, falls short of that, and this is a very important corner. And I think we need to put our best foot forward on this. I think that the black and white marble confuses me. I don't know what was there before, because I didn't hear this. I wasn't on the board before. And then when you get to page, well, first of all, I did want to say, I'm glad I didn't see any waivers or variances, so that's positive. Usually when
I was happy to see that too.
usually when Ms. Miskell's involved, those tend to pop up. But if you look at the staff report on page 12 and 13, it makes some critical comments that I think would kind of be easily resolved. You know, the palette, there's talk about the palette, and there's an absence of contrasting things. The static roof line lacks visual interest. The massing turns a corner, the treatment remains plain, lacking the architectural punctuation often associated with signature corners of urban counties. And there's several other comments that I totally agree with. I think it really is an important, it's an important project. And I think I would like to see these matters discussed with staff. And but before I go on that part, I did want to have a couple questions about the roof amenities. They're not allowed in residential neighborhoods, right? Because we stopped that at Sprad. But
They are allowed, roof amenity, yes, they are allowed.
and they can do whatever they want. They can put in fire pits. They can put in.
No, we're talking about the swimming pool.
I saw the
and-
pool. I saw two burners, and what looked like maybe a refrigerator or something. But there's.
Yeah, swimming pool and
Thought-
the
thought I
amenities
saw
of the swimming pool, and it's allowed like 25% of the roof could be used for this amenity, like
Okay.
enclosed.
Okay. So there's nothing. Yeah. So that's good. Okay. So there's really no restrictions other than you don't want to put.
Yeah,
fire
just
pits up.
setbacks for the pool, like just there are setbacks from the edge of the building that needs to be met.
So, back to the building itself, I think, I'd like to see staff and applicant work a little more closely on addressing some of these issues, which I agree with. And I would vote to, send it back to, for further, interaction and discussion. And if that option does not present itself, I'm going to, vote against this project.
Yeah, we've,
Sorry, do you want?
Staff discussion, yeah.
It's board discussion.
Board
If you
discussion.
want to ask a question, you can. I just want to keep people from jumping in.
Right.
Well, I think
Thanks.
there
Well-
are questions implied there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
if you
I'm
wanna
willing
ask
to
a
hear
question,
from the
it's fine.
applicant
Yeah.
at this
yeah,
point.
if the question is, are we willing to work with staff, we've worked with staff.
Right.
We've worked with staff for the past year and a half on the design. We were requested when we went to city commission to modify the design back and add more interest in the design, which we did. So we're caught between what we want to do and what the city will allow. I have no problem if we do get an approval tonight to going back and working with staff to articulate the building a little bit more. But the staff is very critical on modifications to what they deem to be masonry modern, which is really not consistent what masonry modern really would be, and it limits the creativity of the architect. So you had said you looked at our website. We do work all over the country. I just happen to live in Delray now. So, what we are allowed to do and what we try to do with this building, you're right, it is an important corner. And we try to play with as much articulation and integration with the street as we can. We wrap the entire building at the ground level with interaction space, with lobby to connect. The building at night would light up the corner. I agree. That's the first time I saw what we did with the canopy. I would definitely change the canopy on the front of the building because that's terrible. So I would bring that canopy more in line with the architecture as it wraps the building and how we articulated it. But as Peggy had said, we took a lot of time. I mean, it is a 3-street front building. We articulated each of the street fronts with balconies to create indoor-outdoor living space to, again, connect to the street because of where the site is located. We worked with the landscaping and with staff to bring in appropriate landscaping and with FDOT, who are very limiting on what the landscaping is. But if we did get the approval, and I think Rafiq can testify, we've been very open to come in and sit down and work with staff to, and again, the canopy comes out because it's actually terrible. We would work with staff to kind of bring it more in line with what staff would would like to see. We're very open to that.
Good.
I, as a resident of Delaware, want to see the best building that we can put on that corner.
And I'm just saying, I think it can be better. The balconies there, those are just railings. Those aren't usable balconies, right?
They're all active and usable balconies.
And how deep are they?
They're, I think, 3.5 feet, 3.5 to 4 feet.
It looks like it's just, because I don't like it when there's a window, they put a fake.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
it
no,
looks like
they're,
there's a
they're,
balcony.
they're all act. I think,
balcony to it, yeah.
actually, the balcony setback, you could have 5 or 6 feet at the main part of the balcony. They're all usable. They're all to create the street interior.
But I also wanted to share some of Jim's concerns about the trees. I understand how it works, but you're removing 30-foot tall live oaks, which are challenged and injured and hurting and stuff. But you're replacing it with 16-foot live oaks, and I'd like to see that goosed up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a landscape architect. I don't know what or how they would have to plan. I mean, if we could plant bigger trees, you could certainly make that, a condition of our approval that we come in with
Okay.
larger
I think
trees.
that's, for now,
We would put the max that you can put. I don't
Okay.
know. I couldn't even comment on it.
okay, I don't want to design from up here either, but there's two things that I think could be worked out. Thanks.
Just to follow up on Price's question.
The base and the trees.
The-
The entrance, the black and white marble entrance.
I guarantee you,
remove that.
it would be
And
changed.
the.
But just so we're
It's terrible. I just
Just
saw it.
one
I said,
comment,
why did we
please.
do that?
So I know you're saying that, something will be changed, but like the board is looking at this current version of the design, and if, you vote to approve it, you're not gonna like see it again. So,
I mean, I believe we can work with staff.
We could approve
Well,
with conditions.
we can approve it
potentially.
with conditions.
We can prove it with a condition.
I'm aware, but you're not going to see it again.
Correct.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
approve.
And
with
I
conditions.
don't know if I would, I tend to think that motions to postpone or continue so that the board can see it again once those changes are made are better, especially depending on how complicated those changes are. I would like to hear from staff depending on what they think, but I'd also want to keep hearing from the rest of the board too.
It's
But just keep that in mind.
It's just going to be an aesthetic change to remove the dark element over the main canopy.
Are we allowed to make some clarification now? Like I'm asking Chair
If you
and
think it's
Council,
helpful,
yes?
yeah.
Do you allow us now?
But-
Yeah. So, first of all, I would like to, for the records, I would like to correct the parking counts that is required. It's required is 23 and provided is 23. So for the record to correct this. Second is like just a clarification. Like the application was first submitted, now we include the timeline at the end of the staff report. So the application was submitted last August, so it's just has been like a year now, and then the applicant requested twice an extension to respond to comments. So this is the second clarification. Third is, like, I just want to highlight what you mentioned about like how staff are perhaps difficult working with when it comes to architectural style or masonry modern or the implementation of this. It's actually the code is very clear, and the CBD architectural design guidelines provides clarity step by step about how we assess the masonry modern, and then we follow this. So if you see like how staff report is structured, it's actually following the sequence that is provided in those CBD architecture design guidelines, and we
But if I
understand.
may, isn't that being reconsidered?
Say again.
The masonry modern is part of the architectural guidelines?
Masonry modern is currently part of the architectural design guidelines, and 2 of the 7 styles require further approval. The 2, namely, like the masonry modern and the art deco, you may continue seeing it unless something happened in a different arena, but the masonry modern, the art deco, you need PZB recommendation to approve, to city commission to approve it prior to proceeding with this style for this project. So this project has received masonry modern approval. With that being said, like architecture is also something that is perceptive, like I'm an architect myself, and I design by practice and by study. We engage with the applicants in many architectural discussions just to improve it, and we forward with our analysis and comments to the board for consideration, and this is something that the board can definitely require more enhancement and like specifically like the
Yeah.
canopy, the color, the interpretations, the balconies, how it looks like. But in terms of style, it does represent like to a far degree the masonry modern style, but the design itself.
If
you
I
can
may, if I
definitely
could
say.
just pick up a little bit on where I think Price is heading and ask Nick, because I too have spent a lot of time on your website and love your buildings. Are we possibly talking about brighter colors rather than that sort of mauve to offset the white? I don't know if that's where Price was heading. And one of the reasons I ask that is, the building to your north 1 block is very colorful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the way the neighborhood is going to go, because there's a lot of empty lots there. But is that something worth considering?
I mean, we would consider increasing the contrast and modifying the color. We tried to stay with a very neutral palette. We didn't want to be bang in your face. We can definitely increase the contrast here on with the color selections that we finally select. Yes, we would be open to that.
Thank you.
You don't have the, guys, Rebecca, do you have the original document they showed us last time? You don't have that up, you had a chance.
I don't think, like, maybe.
I pulled it up to see it for myself, but,
Here's the paperwork.
From May.
Here's the staff study from the last
from the
thing.
last time, so it's on there, yeah, I pulled it up on here. I thought it'd be helpful maybe just to be able to show
I don't know
what we
if it has
started
any
with.
much pictures, but
Yeah,
it
it's
has
right here,
the
is what I'm talking about.
elevations.
So this is what we started with.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
It's a lot different, and it came from, the board said and it says in here, is that articulation from that first floor to second floor to top. And all I think we did was make it darker. It didn't really do that, because it should have been something more, am I correct? And I'm not an architect here. It should have been something more around the building, because yes, that front corner, you can now tell the difference between the lobby and the second floor. The rest of the building, it just looks like a slab of concrete.
Yeah, definitely. Like the treatment of the corner, like the proportions between the different masses, and how the projection meets with the bulk mass of the building. These are all, you can definitely comment on it. The color, definitely. But yes, I do remember, like last time, we mentioned about the sides and the projections and the one
Right.
surface versus like the recessed.
Yeah, I don't think they did what we asked. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that really, when we approved the Mason Monterey. We asked for that real
Well, they did.
delineation for that.
Well, at the time, it was just a
bottom.
recommendation to use the
It was
style.
recommendation to the commission, but
You
our
gave the
recommendation
feedback.
was that when it comes back to us, we'd like to see that true modern masonry of the bottom, middle, and top.
I would say, though, as a masonry modern building, this is far superior to the others we have in this city.
Like the one across the street from your house.
Okay. Ms. Mulligan, it's your turn.
So I hate to be the only person that happens to love that entrance, but I do. I mean, maybe I just like marble. I think it's more interesting than just the brown that was shown when it was originally depicted. I think the building's pretty. I think it's, I'm glad that it's going to be on that corner. You smarter guys might know how to improve it, but I wonder if we can define those conditions. I'll take it. It's all clear over there.
Just put it down.
Price? No, but you were the ones that you said a couple things that you'd love to see changed.
I mean, so I know you're all board veterans, and you've all heard this exactly, right? We don't want a design up here, so, I mean, always feel free to discuss the design,
I'd like
but,
to
you know,
hear what the
point
chair
out
has to
the,
say.
insufficiencies.
All I'm saying is I don't want to design up here,
Right.
but I do want to see it back again, if this board is amenable to requesting changes.
Right.
Have you more to say?
No, I don't. I don't have a problem with what I'm seeing.
Okay. I think it's an improvement. I think the difference between what we saw originally and what we're seeing tonight is a significant improvement. And I'm with Ms. Malika. I like the building. I think, yeah, I'm not against improving the contrast a little bit. I don't think you need a lot of bright colors. I mean, it's approved to be in masonry modern, so it should be in masonry modern. It shouldn't be of us at the board to say, change it so it doesn't look like masonry modern, because we don't like masonry modern, because it's already approved to be in that. And I don't have a big problem with that entrance, but I think, yeah, you could do a few things to make it better. And I would encourage, yes, to do that, and we'll worry about the wording here in a minute. Okay, I found out about the parking. You're supposed to have an agreement with the schools people before this goes forward. Are you gonna,
That's
where does that
correct.
stand?
Like, so before certification, like approval can proceed if it is a decision, definitely. But before certification, the SCAD form and the approval should be
But
present.
that's not before us, that's before the commission approves it.
No, it's all right. So next step, if let's say the board approved, like next step, this will go into the appealable report
Right?
to the city commission, and city commission can uphold the board approval. Now this is all approval. Certification will come back to us, and then we will look if there are
okay.
any
That's a-
recommendation, then we'll stamp the drawings. If it's drawings, that means that's the certification.
I'm
So it's another
misunderstanding.
step after the approval. In case, if the board, for example, put some conditions or anything, like change this, do that, so staff can do it if this was the decision. One of the,
Yeah, but that's a step, certification is a further step after the
Yes.
approval.
so yes,
So we
SCAD
don't
form
have
is
to care
required
about
at
that.
certification. Correct.
Got it.
I have one other question about that then. This is a final approval with only subject to a city commissioner appealing it, correct? So, with that being said, I think I agree with Mr. Patton. I would entertain only a motion to send back to staff to come back to us, because we
Yeah,
are the
I'm
final
saying,
makers.
we'll worry about the wording of what we're doing when we
Right, I'm just saying,
finish
I'm not
talking
voting-
about
I'm
the
gonna vote-
issues.
Right, I'm just not voting to approve it tonight. I'm with
Okay,
the price on
I
that.
know, but I'm not talking about that yet.
Would you be willing to approve it with conditions?
Well, the problem is, we're not gonna see it again, and neither is the commission.
Yeah, can I
If it's only a
finish?
recommendation to-
Mr. Katz, can I finish speaking before you move on to the next topic?
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. Okay. Frankly, I think that's, the only other thing was the loading zone. And you said they're required to have two. You do have one, is that correct?
No, they have 0. So 2,
So if they won't have loading, it's gonna block the alley?
So if there's loading or unloading, typically UPS, Amazon, those types of uses will park wherever they want, despite having a loading zone or non-loading zone.
I'm more worried about people moving in and out.
Right. So the loading zone requirement is based on the square footage of the building and not necessarily the number of residential units.
Okay.
Here, there's only 10 residential units. And they're condo units, so they're fee simple kind of for sale units. It's not something where you have a rental product with high turnover. So the actual frequency of people moving in and out is fairly limited with only 10 units. And this is something that's been commonly approved with other similar residential projects in the CBD that have alley access.
Okay, I just don't understand. Okay, but I didn't get an answer to my question. Does loading and unloading gonna block the alley?
It would take up a portion of the alley, but the alleys are, two directional and
That's
have
fine.
lots of ins and outs.
That's that answer, sort of answer I wanted.
Okay.
All right. Okay, what I think we need to do is come up with a motion, and I think what Mr. Katz says is, I think we can all agree on that. I think we want to see this again.
Right, so we would move to continue with direction Do we have to
But-
give that direction is the question.
No, but we need to do it in a way
No, so I
that
think,
says it's not continue with direction and then it goes with direction to the commission.
No, move to
no,
direction comes back to us.
continue to direction, with direction means that they will take into consideration everything that everyone has said, work with staff, and then come back here. Because
Okay.
this is not going to the commission ever unless they appeal it.
And then the other part of it is how specific, what specific direction are we giving?
Do you want
To
to step in, Rebecca?
improve the, go
No, I
ahead.
was just going to make the note that we need to make sure that whatever direction the board does give should be very clear so that we're not having to sort out
Start
and
all over.
interpret. So definitely getting us clear on what you would like to see before they come back would really
Yes.
help both the applicant and staff in determining if they're ready to come back.
And I know I might possibly be complicating these things, but it's like give your direction without exactly designing the direction. So obviously point out the insufficiencies that you've seen.
Yeah, I think that's the point. We should point out the things that we think need to be improved, not how to improve them. And it would,
at least three conditions.
go ahead.
One was that, sorry,
The entrance.
didn't turn it off. Just somebody trying to sell something. One was that front entryway that I think the applicant has already agreed to. I'm not sure the exact language on that, but to replace the marble with something that is more in accordance with the other, the design of the other balconies. Two is to brighten up the color palette somewhat. Doesn't mean it has to be a bright color. It can be something other than mauve. And three is to at least take a look at that landscape plan to see if there aren't some trees that could be saved. Is that what you remember, Bryce?
Let me just add the points made on the bulleted items on page 12. At least have a discussion on those items, because it does seem like these are not, I don't care about the north facade, because something is going to be there.
Absolutely.
Something's gonna be right next to it anyway. But the other 5 bullet lines that are clearly marked on page 12, those would be my conditions.
Okay, so we would say architectural elements. Well, we'll just say it, I think we should just say, can we just use the staff report as a reference?
That's fine.
All right, so some smart person make a,
And I just want to make sure there's consensus with the board, because I know there was 2 people who gave the conditions, but
beg your pardon?
She wants all of us to agree on it.
I just want to make sure that the conditions are.
Yeah, I'm not sure let's look at all 12 conditions if we all have to agree on the conditions, right?
Well, it's not really conditions. This is not, we're not making conditions.
Yeah.
We're making
Guidance.
guidance
Yeah, the
only. Yeah,
direction.
conditions is a strong word, because that's an approval with
That's true,
conditions.
good point.
I mean, I think that, yeah, the guidance is obviously, I think the majority's not, am I correct? The majority's not crazy about the marble? I know you love the marble,
I like
but
it.
I don't know where everybody else stands, so,
Well, I think just say modify the entranceway.
okay. Modifying the
I mean,
entranceway and,
that's, and I don't know what the appropriate term is, review or modify the color palette.
so when it comes back, it shouldn't say, these are largely absent in the proposed design, weakening the architectural rhythm and limiting opportunities for indoor or outdoor living.
Can I
That
ask
should-
for
that should
clarity?
not come back in the staff report.
Can I ask for clarity, especially on that point?
Right.
Right? It says, masonry modern design often incorporates balconies, cantilevers, eyebrows, and overhangs to animate the form. These are largely absent on the proposed design. Do you all agree that they're largely absent on this proposed design?
I do
If
not.
some of these
No.
comments are from
No.
like very original reviews of this project. And
We
so a
don't-
lot of these have
We don't agree
been-
with that.
Okay, so architectural elements, we're good with. Okay.
What about materials and details?
So materials and details,
Well, are Are you asking a question, Mr. Chair?
No, I'm trying to
Yeah,
build
like,
consensus.
With the board, yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
We agree that the architectural elements were met.
yeah.
Right.
I think the materials and detail, the main thing we're talking about there is
That finish number 3.
the two things, the entranceway and the colors.
Yep.
Okay, but the,
I'm not seeing any mauve on this.
but
Yes.
the, but the note about, the north facade, which appears to be a mass that's not part of the pedestrian-oriented, it's a parking lot.
Right, we do
We're,
not.
we're good with
Yeah.
that?
We'll-
We're
we'll-
good with that.
I'm just trying to get
Yes,
clarity, so we
yes,
know.
we're not
what
worried
we're
about the
doing.
north facade.
I think it's materials and details.
Yep.
Unless you can save a tree.
Well, that's in the materials and details
right.
paragraph,
Correct.
the north facade, not,
Discussing it.
so what we want is materials and details
Oh, I see. I know what you're saying.
and the,
The entry and
review
the
the tree
colors.
removal. And, the entrance design. Are those the things that we're talking about?
Yep.
Any other specifics on page 12 that,
I'm just reading through again.
Well, I just ask that those points be discussed with staff.
okay,
I'm not saying that they should be, I don't want you to change the whole
Enumerate.
design of the roof line or anything like that, but discuss it with, I think there's some good points in there, and we want to give as much clear direction as we can.
okay.
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is something that says that the condition is that the applicant and staff will coordinate on, the items mentioned on page 12 of the staff report, and in particular, the entranceway and the colors, and also review the, tree removals. Does that sum it up?
I thought we removed some of these other detail evaluation points, like the environmental considerations and the environmental irony on the north. Didn't we say we were going to get
Yeah,
those out?
we're trying to say something in our motion that,
Well, the motion
Makes
itself
Motion
is
to-
only gonna
motion to
say
change.
to defer, like,
Yeah, we're moving to.
that's the
continue
only
with
thing in the
direction, but
motion's not gonna articulate any of this. It's just the minutes that will
But we're
articulate
trying
it.
to provide
Okay.
a little.
So
direction
essentially, I'm
to-
hearing that you are concerned with materials in detail, except for on the north facade. Generally,
correct.
that corner that is with the black marble.
right,
Okay.
okay.
Does that amount to a motion?
I will
No,
make a
but Mitch will
motion,
do it.
I will make a motion to, where's the motions go at?
Move to
Right,
continue
lost
with
it.
direction.
Yeah, move to continue direction.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ketch, second by Ms. Malika. If Ms. Miller would call the roll, please.
Gregory Snyder,
Yes.
Mitch Katz,
Yes.
Deidre Strawn is not here, Christine Godbout is absent, Jim Chard,
Yes.
Judy Malika,
Yes.
Bryce Patton.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, and we
I will
appreciate
say,
the clarity.
I know the applicant wanted us to kind of, do conditions and move it on, but because we're the final approval, that's why.
Noted. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience. Okay. Moving on to legislative items.
Oh, we didn't give a date certain, yes.
You didn't have to. I
don't have to,
think
right?
it was, there was no date
The
involved.
commission has to do that, I think, we don't.
But do we want to?
Sometimes you do. but-
No, let them sort it out and they'll get back to us.
Yeah, let her work it out with staff.
Okay, Ms. Dossery, the floor is yours at the moment.
Thank you. Good evening. So for the record, Rebecca Dossery, and we have a proposed amendment to the LDR to eliminate the Parking Management Advisory Board from its role in providing a recommendation for in lieu of parking fee requests. So PMAP was created in the 90s, and it was created to provide advice and make recommendations on parking management policy. And operation of parking facilities. But in July, the commission directed staff to prepare an amendment to eliminate the role of PMAB. So an issue, and so this is the amendment. It's very simple. We're just striking this here from the advisory role related to in lieu of parking fee requests. There's a companion amendment to eliminate the role of PMAB in a few functions from the Code of Ordinances. That has to be a separate amendment, which doesn't come before the board. So essentially what was happening with PMAB was we were having applicants delayed by sometimes a month or two from getting to one of the approving bodies because of waiting on the scheduling of PMAB hearings, and with PMAB providing some of the same reviews that the other boards review it was considered to be an unnecessary delay in the review process for applicants who were just trying to get their applications approved. So that is why we're here today. There's the required findings about consistency with the comp plan, and generally streamlining development review processes is something that the comp plan has as an objective. So that's where we are at this evening, and I can answer any of your questions if you'd like.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Comments?
I would move to approve this.
Anybody? Comments?
Yeah, I hear those meetings used to get pretty wild, but, and I don't think this is gonna solve the continuing griping about parking, but I'm all in favor of getting rid of the parking advisory board.
My question is, there was some function to the parking advisory board
When they met.
when they met. And they considered a lot of different things, including the valet system and so forth. And so my question is, who is going to do that function now?
So this final valet approvals would go to the city commission. So I believe, I don't know if DDA reviews valet agreements, but over time I think some of their functions have evolved because, let me see, I don't know why I don't have the Code of Ordinance amendment, but so the amendment to the Code of Ordinances was where it clearly said that they were reviewing parking zones and fee zones, and I think the opinion of commission was that this extra review stop with this review body wasn't necessarily helpful in that. So either a commission or one of the other boards like DDA reviews things, and we also have the CRA that reviews requests. So I think those two bodies would continue to make any recommendations on those, and then at valet requests
The
would go to
CRA is
commission.
a limited part of the city, though. It's
Sure.
10% or something.
So typically, the recommendations that PMAB were making were related to anything downtown. Like we don't get it out in the suburbs, for example. So it would be either in a DDA area or a CRA area or something that would go directly to commission.
Yeah, like Price, I sat in some of those meetings, and they were not useful. But I think parking is a big issue, and to just lump it in under what all the other things that the commission has to do and all the other things you might have to do is something to at least think about. Just before, who's going to do in lieu? Who's going to handle all of the approval on that?
Yeah, so the other point that I think I put this in
Coming
the
back.
staff report, and I neglected to say this in the presentation. So back last year, we adopted some objective measures for the consideration of in lieu requests, whereas before it was kind of a, well, do we think there's enough parking? And kind of, it wasn't very objective. So now we have the specific standards related to whether it's preserving an existing structure, if it's in historic, or if there's readily available parking within that certain area. So it makes it a much easier, less subjective decisions when those requests go to commission for the approval. So I think that was another reason why the system that we have now to approve these requests was maybe sufficient.
We did that.
So that goes direct to the commission and goes on the regular agenda?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I will agree. 20 years ago, when I first started kind of getting involved in all this, it teach you how to turn your phone off.
Who was it? Who called?
20 years ago, it was definitely useful and needed. It was absolutely, I mean, there was, representative the DDA was on it, representative from each different boards, even the, I want to say even the chamber had a member of it at one time. It definitely, parking has gotten so crazy that it's just, it's not really manageable by that board. It's gotten, I mean, it's, you know, the downtown 20 years ago, the downtown today is night and day. So I agree, it's served its purpose, and I agree with getting rid of it. As far as where like in lieu parking is a good example, why can't in lieu parking be part of that final approval, whether the project, say it comes to us, that in lieu is part of one consideration with the final approval, or go into the historic board if it happens to be an historic for there, because I think right now the two boards that do the final approval is us and the historic board, right?
So certain, depending on the level of the site plan, whether there's relief associated with it.
Okay.
So some of them, like a level 3, this board would have final approval authority over, whereas the historic would have final approval authority for a lot of requests, and then there's some that go to commission, like let's say a level 4 site plan, which would maybe be where there's relief associated with it, that would go to commission. So there's
But it would come to us for recommendation, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to us for recommendation, why not just bulk it all in together?
I think that's a great idea.
I can certainly pass
And not only that, what happens is, because
recommendation
if they have
forward.
to come back again, even if it's to the commission, you're delaying the project, that might help. You know, I know you've done a lot of great work the last year or two in consolidating steps, which I also want to applaud you. Like, I know that this last timeline, you know, applicants love to say, well, we've been working with staff for 2 years, and now they're playing, I love that you're putting the timeline in the report that shows that they're not quite telling the truth. Staff turns stuff around very quick these days.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything to say except that your comment about putting more work onto the commission. The commission asked for it.
They did, in fact.
They did ask to get rid of the board, so yeah.
Do we have a motion, please?
I recommend approval to the City Commission on ordinance number 23-25, a city-initiated amendment to section 2.4.11, relief subsection F, in lieu parking fee request of the land development to eliminate the role of Parking Management Advisory Board in reviewing in lieu of parking fee requests by finding that the amendment and the approval thereof is consistent with a comprehensive plan and meets the criteria set forth in the land development regulations.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Mulligan, second by Mr. Patton. Can we do this on just yay? Do we need to roll?
Can we just be consistent for the rest of the meeting, and
We'll
then
take the roll.
Yeah.
Take the roll, please.
He's got somewhere to be.
Gregory Snyder,
Yes.
Mitch Katz,
Yes.
Deidre Strawn is absent, Christina Godbound is absent, Jim Chard,
No.
Judy Malika,
Yes.
Bryce Patton.
Yes.
That's, motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1. Okay.
We'll close this out with what is hopefully a feel-good amendment. We're actually very excited about this amendment, but let me get it
Right.
started. Okay, reading into the record, file number PZ 000-165-2025. So this one, we are amending the processes for the review and approval of subdivision plats by amending all these sections that you see on your screen. I'm not going to go ahead and read them out, but this amendment is before you because the last legislative session there was the bill that requires administrative approval of all plats, which is actually something that staff is very happy about, and I think some of the board members, you've all mentioned that it seems a little redundant to have to approve a plat when there's already a subdivision plan in place. So this is actually, I think, a process improvement for everyone. But there's a few changes in addition to the administrative authority that we're proposing. So I'm not sure why I have this slide here, but so currently our subdivision plats are divided into major and minor subdivisions, and our major subdivision has the robust definition of anything not a minor subdivision, which isn't necessarily helpful. So, and then we have the minor subdivision plat was 3 or more lots where it needed utilities, et cetera, et cetera. So we have adjusted how we're structuring major versus minor. So a major subdivision plat now will be anything, regardless of the lot size, if it needs to create a new street system or extend utilities. And I'll get into some examples of why this is, why we're proposing that. And again, we're just amending the definition of plat to make it consistent with the statutory definitions. So the current process now for a subdivision plat is site or master development plan, and then you would go major or minor subdivision depending on the route. And then if it's a major, it would come through you all and then go to city commission. The minor subdivision would just be on the consent agenda at city commission. But that's not always the case, though. So we have situations like with the 3900 Sherwood Leighton Point project. They were not a planned residential development, so there wasn't a master development plan associated with it. And then we have a few odd plats here and there where there's no site plan before it. So to capture this sort of loophole where we have to approve it administratively, but we wouldn't have an avenue to do design review to make sure that the proposed layout is functional. We still need an avenue to do that. So we're proposing a subdivision plan, which is used to establish the configuration of a tract of land with the common area landscaping prior to the plat going through for the administrative approval process. So this would be the process that you see: site plan, master development plan, or subdivision plan, and then it would go, whether it's classed as major or minor, it would be approved by the director. And if they're requesting relief, this board would have, or Historic Preservation Board would have the final approval authority. If they're requesting relief, then it would come to you all for a recommendation and then go on to the commission for final approval. So I'm now realizing that my flow charts are maybe more confusing than not. But again, so this just shows what I just told you. And so these are some examples of how the changes would be applied. So again, with the site plan or master development plan process that you see now, like some examples you've seen of this would be the Banyan Court development up off of Barwick, the Enclave at Sherwood, they had the PRD. So they had to adopt a master plan, and then the one that you saw tonight, that would be considered a minor plan, and it would be a minor because it's not connecting any utilities or adding streets. So the subdivision plan process would be used for, say, the 4594 133rd Road South, where the property that annexed. You didn't see the plat in this case because they came in after this legislative change, so we took them through that process where we reviewed the design and made sure it was functional. And then an example of one with relief, a minor with relief, would be the plat for the CRA a few weeks ago, where it was just establishing something. It was connected to utilities. There were no streets. There were no concerns about it being functional without the plat. So the major and the minor subdivision distinction also comes into play because the major subdivision would have a requirement for utilities, I'll get into that in a moment. So depending on what level of functional infrastructure would have to come with the plat. So all of these sections that I outlined on the first slide and then the staff report are making all of these things happen. It's giving the director the authority to approve a plat, and then it's giving this board and HPB final approval authority for subdivision plans without relief, recommending authority for those with it. And then the really important thing that I think a lot of our development community will appreciate is that we are making what seems like a common sense change for major plats, which is where there needs to be functional infrastructure in place for the roads and the utilities, where if the developer went bust tomorrow but someone had a house and they didn't put in the street, like, we need to make sure that that's provided for. So for a major plat, we're saying that the financial guarantee has to be provided prior to plat approval. And a lot of plats, again, minor plats, if it's already got infrastructure, we don't need it at the time that the plat is approved. It can happen at the time of building permit. So we adjusted the the timing of this rather than requiring any plat, regardless of what infrastructure needs to go in at the time of the plat. So again, we are establishing the director as having the approving authority, and we are in this other section about section 248, we're outlining the sequence, the approval sequence for these plats. And we actually outline in section 2410 the process for going through the subdivision plan approval. For the historic properties, we are requiring a COA for any plat of a historic property, which would be submitted concurrent with the subdivision plan, and it would go through the same process that a site plan goes through. And then a lot of you are likely familiar with the standards for site plan and plat actions, which make sure that the circulation works, and it's really a functional site. So those, instead of being applied to a plat, are applied to the subdivision plan to accomplish the same goal. So whether you're coming to your plat through a site plan or through this subdivision plan, you're still being evaluated for whether this is a functional development. To approve an LDR amendment, again, the required findings only relate to consistency with the comprehensive plan, streamlining our processes to make this a better review process for everyone while still accomplishing the same goals. And then for the quality of urban form, so we are proposing this subdivision plan process to make sure that for those that aren't already implementing a site plan, we have that process to make sure that the urban form ends up of a really high quality that we know and love in Delray. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was so unreadable, but these are your options for board action, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Did you say in the midst of all that this plan that we saw tonight would not come before us and we considered minor?
So the plat would not. We would classify that as a minor plat because the important parts of the review for design, it's already been approved by a board, and by allowing it to not have to do a subdivision plan, we're not requiring something that was already litigated to be relitigated at another board. So it really is at this point for something with an approved site plan, it's a ministerial action. Palm Beach County, for example, they have a process very similar to what we're proposing. So if there's no site plan, then you would have to do the subdivision plan type process. So so the link, having already had their design issues worked out at site plan, then they wouldn't need to do the subdivision plan. Because really at this point it's just dividing up land.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this Tallahassee finally did something good.
Turn your mic off.
Yeah, I don't want to get us fined or.
I'm in agreement with this. We kind of got to do it. We have to do it.
I agree with it. It looks to me like the Senate says you have to approve the plats administratively, and we're having a way that we'd still retain some control over what's being done.
Yeah,
That's what I get out of the whole thing.
Correct. I think you nicely summarized my very long-winded presentation, but yeah, essentially, so we are completely on board with administrative approval, except in cases where our system already didn't work to provide that level of design review, and that's
fine. Yeah. I think we need a motion.
Recommend approval of the City Commission ordinance number 24-25, a city-initiated amendment to revise the process for the review and approval of subdivision plats by amending section 2.11, Administrative Officials, section 2.15, the Planning and Zoning Board, section 2.19, the Historic Preservation Board, section 2.2.2, Financial Guarantees, section 2.2.4, Certification of Actions Taken, section 2.4.8, Subdivision and Plat, section 2.4.10, Site Plan Applications, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, and Master Development Plans, section 2.4.12, Certificate of Appropriateness, section 3.2.3, Standards for Site Plan and or Plat Actions, and Appendix A, Definitions of the Land Development Regulations, by finding that the amendment and approval thereof is consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets the criteria set forth in the Land Development Regulations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Katz, second by Mr. Chardon. Call the roll, please, Ms. Miller.
That was almost as good as Lynn.
I can't keep up with her. but-
Gregory Snyder,
Yes.
Mitch Katz,
yes.
Deidre Strawn is absent, Christina Gabon is absent, Jim Chard,
Yes.
Judy Malika,
Yes.
Bryce Patton.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 5-0. Okay. Staff comments.
No other comments, just a reminder of our next meeting dates. We're finally, I'm sorry, this is not opening fast enough. We're finally back to our normal board schedule, so October 20th and October 20th is the next meeting, third Monday again.
Okay. Great. Board attorney comments.
Nothing for me.
Ooh. Board comments.
Nothing from me.
Nothing from me.
Mr. Chardon.
I have a question about going back to the landscape plan. When they say it's
Oh. Sorry, but it's just a general question on a
Yes.
landscape, not
Yeah.
the landscape plan that we
right,
saw.
a general
Okay.
question about the process. When we say mitigation, does that include in lieu fees?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a few paths for mitigation. They could either replace it 1-to-1, they could pay into the fund, or they could relocate it. So that's the
Right.
three ways. So usually mitigation would refer to either paying into the fund or replacing it somewhere else on the site.
I didn't see anything in there about what the in lieu payments might be on this. Did I miss that, or?
So they would
Is that-
only need to mitigate trees that were not considered of, I think, preservation quality. So actually, I'm stepping outside of my memory right now. I can send you guys an email of the different paths that they would take. So if they didn't mention in lieu, it was likely that they're not required, and it may be because they were replacing it on a 1-to-1 basis, which is also allowed.
They
So
did say they were paying into the, she mentioned that they were paying into it.
Right, but let's remember that since it's coming back, we shouldn't
Okay.
discuss it.
But I'll be glad to send you an email with the general overview of how the in lieu works, and I can look into this.
Yeah, it just seems to me that staff should let us know on that.
Yeah, so I know staff did directly look into this. I wasn't reviewing this plan, so, and unfortunately, Mr. Ibrahim had to head to a conference presentation for Florida APA. But our landscape planner did review it thoroughly so that it meets the requirements of the LDR, and I know Mr. Ibrahim would have been able to answer that if he was here.
Just along that line, real quickly, next meeting, could you report back and tell me how much money is in the in lieu tree fund?
I can check into that.
Because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think.
So it is, I know we've had a few large payments into it recently. I don't know the current balance, but I can check into that.
There was a discussion with the city manager in one of these budget workshops about the fund being depleted recently because there was less money being able to go to community greening based on the fund not having as much coming into it as before. I remember I did watch that discussion at one of these budget workshops. So don't. Pretty sad that I watched some of that, but yes. Just a comment, just in staff in general. Thank you for provide, like I mentioned before, providing those date lines. Something else too. I want to compliment staff on the everything being online now for backup materials. Not just us, but any project now with the e-permitting, you can look and see, where everything is, and just I know that's been a long time in coming, and it is spectacular. So compliments to the Planning and Zoning Department for getting that launched. It's really incredible. Somebody who's just even gone through a permit thing, being able to check on it and scream at my contractor, why haven't you responded to them?
Okay, no, I don't have any comments. Meeting's adjourned.
Pleasure.
So I still don't know the answer if we had a chance to win that.